You can support In the Past Lane by buying some of our merchandise, like shirts, hoodies, mugs, and stickers. Just go to our website, inthepastlane.com. Thanks.
Whoa, hit the brakes. You've arrived at the #1 drive-by for American history. Welcome to The Pit Stop. Brought to you by In the Past Lane, the podcast about history and why it matters. Here's Edward T. O'Donnell, your host and historian at large.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Pit Stop, your Monday source for history on the go in just about 5 minutes. We offer this mini feature every Monday, in addition to our full feature episodes, where I talk to historians about their latest books. Here's what happened in American history the week of September 9th, 2019. Let's start with birthdays. September 9th, 1890, that's the birthday of Colonel Harlan David Sanders, who was born in Henryville, Indiana. Colonel Sanders was not really a colonel. In fact, he never served in the military. But he was a great entrepreneur. He began selling fried chicken in the 1930s, and his success led him to create Kentucky Fried Chicken and spread it via the franchise model. His first franchise opened in Salt Lake City, Utah in 1952. Today, there are over 6,000 Kentucky Fried Chicken outlets around the world in 48 countries. September 12, 1859, 160 years ago this week, reformer Florence Kelley was born in Philadelphia. Kelley, whose parents were abolitionists, grew up in a reform-minded family that provided her with an excellent education. She graduated from Cornell University and then went on to study in Germany, where she became immersed in democratic socialism. She returned to the United States in 1891 and took a position at Hull House in Chicago, a settlement house run by Jane Addams. Kelley soon began working to expose the terrible working conditions in Chicago and to gain passage of laws that would ensure fair pay, a 10-hour workday, and safe conditions. Florence Kelley soon became a leading national figure in this movement, a position she held for decades. Florence Kelley also worked for civil rights for African Americans and for women's rights. Also born on September 12, 1880, the journalist, satirist, and critic H.L. Mencken, who was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Mencken was famous for his biting, satirical commentaries on American life, and he's possibly one of the most quotable people in American history. For example, he's famous for saying, "Nobody ever went broke underestimating the taste of the American public." And also, Puritanism, the haunting fear that someone, somewhere, may be happy. And yet another person born on September 12th, Jesse Owens. He was born James Cleveland Owens on September 12, 1913, in Oakville, Alabama. Jesse Owens was the greatest track and field star of his day. At the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Germany, Owens won 4 gold medals, a feat that infuriated Adolf Hitler because it challenged his creed of Aryan supremacy. When he was asked if he was upset that Hitler refused to shake his hand, Jesse Owens said, "Although I wasn't invited to shake hands with Hitler, I wasn't invited to shake hands with the president either." September 15th, 1857 is the birthday of the 27th President of the United States, William Howard Taft, who was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. In some ways, Taft was doomed from the start, because he was the president who followed the larger-than-life Theodore Roosevelt. Perhaps as a consequence, Taft's presidency only lasted 1 term. But then, almost a decade later, he was appointed Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, an office he held from 1921 till 1930. Okay, what about events? September 11th, 1851, that's when a slaveholder from Maryland named Edward Gorsuch, along with several armed men, crossed the state line into the town of Christiana, Pennsylvania. They were in pursuit of several escaped slaves. But, to their surprise, they were met by a group of armed black men who were members of a local black self-protection society. In the ensuing gunfight, Edward Gorsuch was killed and the fugitive slaves got away. This was one of the many events that stoked sectional conflict in the years leading up to the Civil War. September 13th, 1814, during the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key penned the song that we know today as the Star-Spangled Banner. Key was on a ship in Baltimore Harbor and witnessed the British bombardment of Fort McHenry. Seeing the American flag still there the next morning, he was inspired to write the song. Interestingly, in light of recent controversies about athletes and the Star-Spangled Banner, many people have pointed to the fact that Francis Scott Key was a staunch defender of slavery, and there's actually a verse in the Star-Spangled Banner that warns slaves not to rebel. September 14, 1847, United States forces, under the command of General Winfield Scott, captured Mexico City. This victory effectively ended the Mexican-American War. In the ensuing peace negotiations, the United States seized the northern half of Mexico, a territory that constitutes much of the southwest of the United States today. September 15, 1954, Hollywood superstar Marilyn Monroe filmed her famous billowing dress scene standing over a New York City subway grate. The scene was for the film The 7-Year Itch, and it immediately became iconic. Okay, time for the last word. Let's give it to Florence Kelley, who was born 160 years ago this week. Here's a portion of a speech in which she joins two of her reform causes: the need to give women the right to vote so that they can use their political power to outlaw the evil practice of child labor. Tonight, while we sleep, several thousand little girls will be working in textile mills, all the night through, in the deafening noise of the spindles and the looms, spinning and weaving cotton and wool, silks and ribbons for us to buy. The children make our shoes in the shoe factories. They knit our stockings in the knitting factories. Children braid straw for our hats. They spin and weave silk and the velvet wherewith we trim our hats. They carry bundles of garments from factories to the tenements, little beasts of burden, robbed of school life that they may work for us. We do not wish this. We prefer to have our work done by men and women. But we are almost powerless. Not wholly powerless, however, are citizens who enjoy the right of petition. For myself, I shall use this power in every possible way until the right to the ballot is granted, and then I shall continue to use both. Okay, people, that's your history fix for the week. Now put it in Drive and go make your own history.